Welcome, one and all, to Crypto and Chill. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and with me, as always, on Tuesdays and Friday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is Jeff. How's it going, brother?
Pacific Standard Time?
Specific Standard
Pacific.
Time.
I'm good. I might be getting a phone call from my boss here soon. He never called me. So I ended up having to go pick up my car, and yeah, I'm like, why on a Friday?
It's all good. Freaking life happens, man.
Yeah. How's it going up there, man? How's everything in your neck of the woods?
It's doing good. I went and did some hiking today. Me and my brother Taylor, I think I mentioned that we're thinking about buying a property and putting up a house and doing like an Airbnb and do like adventure tours. So basically, I just people would come up and Airbnb the place, and then I could do like kayak tours and hiking. Like I know all the areas around here to hike and kayak and do all that like type of stuff that people would want to do on a vacation. There's like a ski resort up by here, and then I know a bunch of hunting guides and fishing guides, like that will take people out on the river so they can catch like salmon and freaking sturgeon and walleye and all that stuff, trout. And so basically just have like a little business, and whenever somebody rents the place and wants to go do something, then I just go take them and do it, and I get paid to do it instead of just doing it for free.
Nice.
So
yeah, that'd be a fun little side hustle, man.
Yeah, no, I was pretty excited. My brother mentioned it. I mean, it's not for sure. We got to find the right property, and if there isn't a house on it or a cabin, we're gonna have to build one. And we'd like to find something turnkey because that would just be a quick turnaround, and we could get to work.
Yeah, those prefabbed homes, man. Those look. I was showing some of my friends, and they were all about it.
Oh yeah, those like cabin kits that you can just like weekend, you and a couple buddies can like put them together like adult Lincoln logs.
Yeah, it's like building for grown-ups.
Yeah, no, it's no, but they're cool though. I mean, they're solid, they're well insulated, because it's they're thick logs, they're decent sized logs. They fit together perfectly because they're tongue and groove, so it's not drafty at all or anything like that. It's nice and toasty in those things. When it gets cold, I almost wish I just would have done one of those,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but did they have stuff like that? Was that good quality?
No, it was like 10 years ago. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure they did somewhere, but not like they do now. Not like they do now. The build that I kind of wish I would have done is the shipping container build that I was wanting to do. That was my original plan, was to get like 4 shipping containers, have 2 on the bottom and then offset 2 more on top. So basically, depending on where you're at in the house, you get the 360. So like at the ground level, the 2 long sides that would have windows in them, you'd be able to see out one side. And if the second set was offset, you would get an elevated view of the other 2 directions. So you'd have a 360, depending on where you're at in the house. I thought that'd be cool.
And it's a good thing you don't have any neighbors that can see in if you want to walk around naked. No,
dude, I could have 0 curtains and walk around naked all day long, and no one would get offended. It's
nope.
So no, and that's something we're thinking about doing, is just building something on the this property here. But anyway, people out there don't want to hear about this. So anyway, so I was looking at the news, and first of all, if you want to, I'll burn through this stuff real quick. If you want to watch us, if you want to join the chat, come over to YouTube. It's at the Node Network, all one word. If you want to follow us on X, now all the stupid and silly shit that I say and do on there, then just come on over here to at the Node _network. Bing, bang, boom, you're done with 2. And the third one, if you want to go to the node.pro, you can find everything that we offer. And we truly are a network. We truly are a business now. We have no cost to you DeFi and crypto education at DeFi University. You can find links to all of it on the node.pro. You can find all of our programming. So you can see that this is the node.pro. You can see this is our schedule. So, I mean, we have multiple live shows a day. we even have them on the weekend. We have 2 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. So if you're bored, it doesn't matter the day of the week. We got something going on here for you. You'll either learn something or you'll laugh a lot. One of the two, or laugh at us. One of the three. All right. Here's the courses, that I talked about. This is DeFi University, where you can start it. But one of the best, systems I've seen out there, and we give it away. There's no catch. There's no gimmick. All you got to do is take the time to learn. The community. If you want to join our no-cost Discord, there's a bunch of us that are always in there. If you have a question, if you just want to hang out, whatever. There's even a video chat room in there. If you want to if you want to get to know people, or end up wanting to have a conversation with somebody that you think you might want to have a mentor you, then it's always good to meet them in a video chat and vet them and make sure that we give them the thumbs up that they're good people. But just be real careful on Discord and stuff like that. But we have DeFi University. David's launching our members only YouTube channel. And I believe he's doing something in Discord as well, to where he's going to include them on his live calls. So like all week he has live calls where he does advanced strategies. So he talks with the advanced members of his community, and they all get on a video call, and they just share different strategies they're doing, and just kind of different protocols that they found and stuff like that. So really, really cool service as well. But that one's $99 a month. So I highly suggest you go through the university for free, if you don't know anything about DeFi or crypto. And then there's coaching, one-on-one coaching. You can see him doing that live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He's putting a member of our community, Ellie, through that, and been going good so far. She actually made some money. I don't know how much, but in a day. They put in a position yesterday afternoon when they did the show, and during our live show this morning, David told her, "Hey, close it out. You made some really good profit. Just close it out." And so she did. So it was pretty cool. And then the newsletter. So this is almost dialed in, but you can see if you want to try it out, give it a sample, put your email in. It just generates it. Bing, bang, boom, and it puts out this. So you can see the ETF inflows for Bitcoin, Sol, ETH. You can see all the prices. You can see the ranges. So if you want to trade, if you want to enter into liquidity pool ranges, concentrated liquidity pools, you have your lines of support and resistance. So you know how to set your ranges on those, and you select your assets. It can be commodities, it can be stocks, it can be crypto. And it's going to go out there and it's going to find verified data for your assets. You have the on-chain data. You have flows. You have the derivatives. You have catalysts. What's making the markets do what it's doing. The big story. So whatever the hot topic is, whatever's trending that day, whatever the top news is, and then the quick hits. So if you just kind of want to go through and hit the highlights, and you see something that catches your eye and you want to dig deeper, all this stuff has hyperlinks. So you can just click to it. It will take you to the news article, or where there's the source that it's citing, and you can read more in depth about it and verify what it is that it's saying. You should always verify everything. So anyway, we just wanted to help you out and give you those hyperlinks. And then the node take. What we think is going on in the markets right now, what we see happening in the next 12 hours, the next 24 hours, the next 72 hours. So, and then last but not least, we have the store. So if you want to help support the channel, we appreciate it. Don't have to, we just appreciate it. But there's hoodies, there's t-shirts, there's thermoses, there's, just all kinds of swag in here. The hats, I'm going to be ordering one of these here soon. I want to wear it during the show. But I'll definitely break the bill, though. I can't stand that straight bill.
Oh, yeah.
David loves that. I can't do it. I got to bend the shit out of my... I like mine functional. I like mine blocking out the... I want the sun, freaking getting me.
My little brother's the same way.
Yeah. So, anyway. All right. Yeah, David's in the chat. Love you, brother. All right. Let's pop over. So, usually we let you kick it off, because I spend way too much time talking on these shows. So why don't you kick us off? You got anything you want to share?
Yeah, I saw some of this stuff. Well, one thing on Coinbase, the whole Coinbase being down. Was it yesterday? Adam Cochran said the day after CEO lays off a ton of staff and says non-technical teams are now pushing code to production with AI. They have a major outage on their trading engine.
Right.
So apparently it was one of the AWS servers, one of the locations. I guess the server room got overheated and it caused a shutdown. And I think in the Arizona location. So that's why there was, an outage in Coinbase. But I just thought this was funny because it does seem kind of like, oh shit, they just laid off a bunch of people and then they get
well, it's like Aave, like they had a bunch of different people leave and then they conveniently get a massive fucking exploit.
Yeah. That's a pretty clever excuse. Yep.
Yeah, right. It was Amazon's fault.
I think if there is an issue with these server locations, do you think Coinbase would explore having their own? Or
I don't know why they would. I mean, I know why they wouldn't
services.
already. I mean, just the added overhead and stuff like that. I mean, it's just more cost effective to use, like those types of services. I don't have a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've experienced that a couple times in the past year where these AWS hosted websites have just gone down, or like, what was it, CrowdStrike? I think it was that had that outage.
I think that's what it was.
Or Cloudflare.
No, I think it was CloudStrike. Yeah, maybe it was Cloudflare. It's Cloud something. But I remember it went down and like fucking everything was down.
Yeah. And it's there's that meme or that picture where there's a bunch of things stacked up on top of each other, and then the little peg at the bottom is AWS. It's like if you remove that, everything falls.
No, but that's the danger of these single points of failure. I know they have redundancies and stuff like that, but to what extent? Obviously not to an infinite extent to where it catches everything, because there's been a lot of glitches in the matrix.
Yeah, a lot of glitches. The glitches. I know you guys were looking at Zcash yesterday, right? You're talking about Zcash and Monero.
Yesterday, David was going over some Zcash stuff, talking about privacy coins.
Ooh, I mean, we had a nice little pump today.
Oh, it's because we were talking about it on the node.
Yeah, the past couple days, man, it's been pumping.
All 40 of our current viewers, they all freaking took advantage of the pump.
Hey, pump it up. That's like Canton, man. Canton pumped like crazy.
Yeah, DAG actually pumped.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah. All that shit I was talking about DAG. The thing is, though, it doesn't, what I said, it doesn't change the facts. The tokenomics of DAG is terrible. I was reading something today that was it DAG? No, it was Ondo. Ondo was supposed to vote later this year if they were going to change the token from a governance token to an actual utility token in some way. That's I just barely started hearing grumblings of it, so don't quote me on it. But I still need to verify it. But I did hear and see it on a couple of different sources that supposedly Ondo is getting away from that old crypto model where the token really has nothing to do with the fucking project. Because the tokenomics are freaking terrible. But
Oh, I mean, what do you think about this whole DAG or Constellation network being acquired?
It got acquired?
Oh, that's what I was talking about. So they've officially been acquired by AI Holdings.
Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah. So it brings growth capital to scale our products and advance the utility of the hypergraph network. I guess Ben Jorgensen had a post, and Dagnum had a couple of he was on somebody's YouTube show today. I haven't watched it yet, but he kind of breaks it all down. But
it still doesn't change the fact that the token,
yeah,
they're it's like XRP and Ripple. It doesn't matter really. The value of the token isn't connected to the valuation or the value of the company, or have any direct connection to the revenue that it generates, if it
powers
generates
the infrastructure. It powers the infrastructure, Mike.
You know what I mean, though? It's just I mean, I'm glad it pumped. I'm happy for people that hold DAG. I don't want it to fail. You have to point out the facts. Doesn't mean you can't trade it short term. It doesn't mean that the token's not going to pump and go up and down. And I mean, shit, it was at 8 cents. Freaking at one point before we went into the bear market. It's not like it can't go back up there and higher. But I'm trying to get into projects long term, like Canton. I'll talk about that when you're done. But Canton, I just hear about more and more bullish fucking news about that project. It has some tokenomics issues. It needs to get to this equilibrium, and hopefully, if the token becomes deflationary, price go up. But there's still no guarantee. But we'll get to that. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. And that's a good point. Just because they get acquired, this Constellation network gets acquired doesn't mean that it's.
What does that have to do with the token?
Value of the token, yeah. That's the company. That's like Ripple and XRP. It's like if Ripple got acquired, that doesn't mean XRP would get. What's it doing?
Yeah, no, it pays gas. Like last I looked, it was 0.00001 XRP per transaction. You know how many, how long it would take to just burn through a couple of million. It'd be decades. I mean,
it pays gas. I pass gas. Doesn't mean they have value.
No, it's just I just don't get it. I back in the we won't waste time on that. What else you got, brother?
Oh, this happened to catch my eye earlier. Cardano is a ghost chain. Nobody builds on Cardano. That's what your VC influencers keep telling you. Meanwhile, it's on one of the top builders chains.
What?
Yeah. The whole just making fun of people who are calling Cardano a ghost chain and how nobody builds on it. And
I haven't heard of anything.
Yeah, so I guess Cardano CF is one of the longest standing and most actively developed networks. It ranks among the top 3. But look at this dude said this is a facade. More devs. Oh wait, no. What is it? Oh, now show us the successful DApps and the revenue.
Exactly. It's like, okay, supposedly the most people are it's like third in line. Number 3 as far as shit being built on it. Name anything besides that men's swap.
What's number 1? So come on, Polkadot.
Yeah, really, Polkadot. I mean, nothing against Polkadot, but it's everything I've seen about it. It's definitely not something I'm buying.
Yeah, he said I can make my own repo with 5K devs and 1 million commits if I wanted. What have these 3.6K devs built? I can wait.
That's that's being real. It's just you have to be realistic about this stuff. It's like I can name off the top of my head, freaking a bunch of stuff on projects that I don't even know that much about. But like Avalanche, I'm not super knowledgeable about Avalanche. I've been investing in it for a little while, but yeah, but I can name off a bunch of protocols that are on it and games that were built on it, and Off the Grid that was a Web3 game, really good one that from what I understand, that was built on Avalanche. You have Black Hole that's on Avalanche. You have Pharaoh that's on Avalanche.
Trader Joe.
California DMV, didn't they put car titles on fucking Avalanche. Yeah, and like I said, that's just off the top of my head. I can't name you a single thing that's on Cardano.
No. Yeah, now that the
arena's on Avalanche.
Oh yeah.
It's like it has social media, it has gaming, it has freaking DeFi. That's more than XRP.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, and I remember back in 2022, I think, or 2022, there's I don't even remember what fucking DeFi protocol it was, but it was on Cardano, and they were trying to get onboard liquidity for a bunch of token pairs, and I don't remember what I think I put like $50 in to one ICO, and it just ended up not doing anything. But I mean, that was fucking 4 years ago. You would expect there to be something, some development, some, millions or billions of TVL by now, with the way that Charles Hoskinson has.
Oh, the way that he talks, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But again, fucking show me anything. Let me look at. So yeah, let's just go down some of these. So I haven't really looked at the top 10 or top 20 in a while. So of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, but then you got XRP in fourth. Like, Ripple's doing great things. Bullish as shit on the company Ripple. What that has to do with XRP, I got no fucking clue. Learn about the tokenomics. I talk about this enough. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. BNB. I mean, okay. It's. I know it's Binance's chain. There's some stuff on it, but I don't know much about the tokenomics, so I won't get into that one. USDC, of course. Solana. It's fast. It's crashed a couple of times. With all the meme coin volume that was on it for a minute, freaking that crashed it out. But overall, it's getting adopted. It's getting used. It's there's revenue being generated, and there's a way for the token to benefit from that. Tron, I bought some of it. We did a bit of a deep dive on it, and I like the tokenomics. So I mean, it's belongs there. Hyperliquid, same thing. Great tokenomics. There's actually mechanisms in place in how it's built out and its relationship to the token, to where token holders actually benefit from how well the chain does. Cardano, we just talked, or Zcash, privacy. Freaking a ton. I mean, look, it's up 60% in the past week. It's because people, it has all this. My understanding is all the security from the deep dive we did, all the security of Bitcoin. It has a limited supply, I do believe. Actually, it does. Hold on, don't quote me on that. But it's a privacy token, so you can do whatever transactions you want, and all this draconian, USDC and USDT, we're going to lock your wallet and your tokens, and all this craziness. All of that's out the window. So I mean, I can see why Zcash is doing well. I kind of wish I would have bought some again forever ago. Cardano, we just talked about it. Nothing. And then, like, what's this? Eunice said Leo. What's Eunice said Leo? Do you know?
Eunice said Leo. What?
This right here is number 13. The ticker is LEO. It's like Eunice, SEDLEO. Never heard of it.
Ticker's Leo. Let me check it out. LEO, right?
Yeah, LEO is the token.
Eunice said Leo. Let's see. I know all this shit coming out. Oh, okay, a utility token at the heart of the Bitfinex ecosystem.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We read about that. Okay.
It's their exchange
I
token.
mean, it does have a burn mechanism, so
Huh.
potentially that takes. Let me see what the max supply is. Oh, but the max supply looks infinite. It
Eunice
does
said Leo.
like circulating supply right now is 920 million. Um, but it's there is no max supply, so burn doesn't mean shit if it's minting like way more. I mean, that's the problem with Canton right now is they're minting more tokens than are being burned.
Yeah.
That's why the prices been flat. I mean, there's been no big dips, which actually says quite a bit. I mean, if there's millions of tokens, going out on the market, potentially sell pressure every single day, and the price isn't going down, that means there's a lot of buying going on.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, but that's how I'm reading that. If all those tokens, I'm sure that they're getting sold because or staked something. Is this a bear market rally or the start of something bigger? You'd know better than I would. Like why? Why are you asking me? I'm just I'm just the pretty face, man. You're the brains.
Yeah, I'm
No,
looking at the chart.
honestly,
We're a little ways up from that 50K level that we were expecting, but we still got what, another 5 or 6 months
honestly,
till.
I I I think there could be. I mean, we on the
I
show on the node, we've been looking at a pretty strong case of basically the market's ripping. The possibility because I mean the way the S&P 500 and stocks and all of
Yeah.
that. I mean everything is just fucking mooning. At some point, people are going to take profits and they're going to want to put that somewhere else to where they can continue to make profits. And so they're either going to short the market or they're possibly going to move over to risk on assets, like crypto, and buy Bitcoin, things like that. Who knows? I mean, that's what's happened in the past. After the markets rip, is that liquidity rotates into riskier assets. They get they get a little endorphin rush from making some money, and they're like hey, daddy, can I have some more? And they go over to a riskier asset so they can get the bigger fix.
Yeah. If we need to start partying like it's 1999, I just hope the bubble don't burst like 1999 or
Dude,
2000.
I just need an over like if a bunch of the stuff I'm invested in goes to zero, so be it. As long as I get an overall 10x on
Yeah.
my portfolio, that's all I need. A 10x, and I'm making 5 to 10 grand, a month, extra, above it, and that's my goal. That's my financial goal. I don't care about Lambos. I don't care about anything like that. It's like I just want that extra money each month so that every month or every couple of months I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to do this project, and I don't have to save up. I don't have to. I just be like, oh, hydroelectric, order it, order it, order it, order it. All right. I got my turbine, I got all my pipe, I got all the stuff. Now I just need to freaking get off my ass and do it. That's the only thing that really slows me down up here is just having just a bunch of expendable income. So
Well, David was
shops.
talking the other day, right, about if you had 20 or 30K in, a good what, 20 to 30%. Oh shit, I got to take this call.
All right, go ahead.
You get like 2,000 a month extra.
Oh yeah, no, and it really just depends on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. If you're looking to that's his boss, so he had to go. He'll be back. But yeah, I mean, if you're just looking to make enough to make your car payment, maybe you just want that little bit of breathing room. It doesn't have to be like a ton of money. That's just my lofty ass goal that I set for myself. But you know how I mean, obviously, what a freaking breath of fresh air that would be to basically make enough on the side, from crypto investments and DeFi to where it takes care of your car payment, maybe your insurance. that's $300 to $1,000 plus a month, depending on what you drive, and freaking how much insurance you need. That's quite a bit of money. That's, every couple months, that's a nice little vacation, or, money you can, put away in investments, or, fucking, a little bit of yayo, hookers and blow, whatever. I'm not judging. You
whatever your guilty pleasure is,
Yeah, I will not judge. I have a fetish for ammo. That's my guilty pleasure. I hate shooting it. I love collecting it.
It's just getting to that point to where you have that portfolio is the hardest part. The ramp up is like the hardest part, man. But once you're there, and the discipline, and also the discipline to maintain that, you could be like, oh, I'm making this and this, and then, oh, the markets are going up, and you just start getting a little too trigger happy.
I have my ladder out strategy. My old ladder out strategy that I used to always talk about, like in the Discord and stuff, and I even posted it for a while. I have where, depending on the project, where I'm taking 10%, 15%, 20%, something, and, at different stages. And if I don't hit all of them, cool. I'll if I hit at least a couple of them, I made money, overall. So I'm not going to get greedy. It's like I'm going to ladder out. Whatever I end up with is whatever I end up with, and I'll make it work. Because, like I said, an extra. I'd love to make 5-10 grand a month, of extra money. If I'm making 500 a month, it's free money. It's OPM, other people's money. It's why not?
Hey, that Bitcoin that you've been earning, $500 just in the past
I'm up to about $400-500 just since I got the Coinbase card. And what is that? That's been what, like 3 months, something like that, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, but that's money you were already spending that money and not having it generate you anything. But
no, it's like, so I'm tracking to make about $1,000 a year of free Bitcoin at current value. In the future, shit, that $1,000 a year might be $10,000 a year.
For a couple thousand, man. That's
it's like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
is freaking. So that, like I said, that's my goal, is just staying disciplined, staying focused. Could I go out and be spending money here and there and freaking eating away at my savings and stuff like that? Absolutely. Would I rather keep it in investments and see if I can turn it into a income stream? It's that's really what everybody out there should be doing, is figuring out ways, like different hustles, that they can kind of automate revenue streams. With AI and all these tools that we got these days, there's so many ways that you can make money. Hell, I'm just retired out in the middle of the woods. Me and my brother are talking about that, adventure tour company, to where he wants to get an investment property for him and the family up here, and but he wants to start an Airbnb and a adventure tour company. And I'm like, oh hell yeah, no, I'll freaking let people pay me to take them kayaking and hiking and all that shit, and then I'll get with a couple of hunting guides and fishing guides in the area and be like, hey, if I send you people, will you give me like a 10% cut or a 5% cut, or whatever? Just I'll give you leads, and it's just I'll help you generate fucking business. And people do that all the time. Charter boats, and freaking, they call them bird dogs. Like in the car business, they call them bird dogs. Basically people that bring you customers.
Oh yeah.
And you can get. I know people that make a living doing it. That they just know how to do online shit, and they generate leads, and then they can sell leads to different companies, construction companies, like any kind of sales, really. But there's just so many ways you can make money. And with AI, look what everything that David's doing. The whole website design he did with it, with all the integrations and stuff like that. The newsletter, built that with it. He's making a whole music channel, with it. It made one of them our CFO, who's taken, who's basically monitoring all of our revenue streams and everything. Once we start making money, it's it's just there's just I don't know. There's so much that you can do these days. There's no reason why you can't have a side hustle.
Yeah. Well, and what would you do if you didn't have to go into a job? I love hearing people's answers. It's like if you had the money to where you could just
I could tell you
the fuck
mine.
you money, the fuck you money.
Yeah. I don't have like I'm not like independently wealthy, but I have fuck you money.
Yeah.
I wake up from the time my head leaves the pillow to the time it goes back to the pillow. I do whatever the fuck I want every single day. I don't answer to anybody. I don't, the only people I answer to is you and David. That's the only people I answer to.
And that's something that you have a passion for is the show and all this stuff. And it's like if you don't have a passion or if you're not interested in shit, it's gotta suck, because then your identity is wrapped up in your career or your job. And
dude, if I ever got to a point I didn't enjoy doing this, I would no hard feelings or anything. I'd just be like, hey guys, I think I'm done, And I mean, I wouldn't just like ninja vanish, I'd freaking hang out, and especially if we were like a profitable company and stuff. I would make sure I did like a left seat, right seat with somebody for a couple of months, get them trained up on whatever it is my job was, because I mean, I'd still have an interest in the company's success, but it's just David's the same way. He has fuck you money. He makes all of his money in DeFi. That's how he makes his living, and he can do whatever he wants whenever he wants. And I'm sure at some point, if like we fully automated this whole thing with like AI hosts and stuff in the future, fuck. What's to say that we can't just be traveling around the world on a yacht, freaking, or sitting on an island somewhere on a beach with a pina colada, watching a laptop and just making sure that all the AIs are running like they're supposed to. It's like, like why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and I mean, and that's kind of what I love about homesteading up here is like you're talking about in the chat, building stuff. It's just cool building stuff, with your buddies. If you're building a shed, if you're, freaking, building a hydroelectric plant, if you're building a channel, it's just kind of that. I mean, that's what guys do. Guys just like to build shit and invent shit, and it's just in our nature.
Yeah, and doing it with cool
and blow shit up,
cool people and with integrity. Good people with integrity, man.
That's a big thing for me. I struggle a lot if I don't respect the people that I work with, that I work for or work with. I just, because I have fuck you money, I'm like, in my personal life and business life, I have no place. If there's a lack of integrity, if there's lying, if there's deception, that fucking specter of deception, I pretty much you're done. I don't care if it's family, friends, business associates, whatever. And especially somebody I'm dating. Like it's one you're done. It's yeah. Anyway,
you see that bleed out. Eventually, it'll bleed out, and
it's
grab onto you. It's like I don't.
Either
want that.
People have integrity or they don't. That's what I've learned in all my travels around the globe, and all my interactions with people. Either somebody's an honorable person or they're not. It's just that fucking black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
That's why I'm so careful about who we work with, and when we do work with people on the channel, we make sure that there's you got to have contingencies. You got to be like hey, if this doesn't work out, is there what's the plan? So yeah, and that's just one thing that I've learned. I'll just say in life in general is if you surround yourself with good people that genuinely have your best interest at heart and you genuinely have their best interest at heart, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. And if you can put ego aside, that's a big one too. That's something I learned in the military is how to keep your ego in check, because if everyone puts their ego aside, and it's not like, I did this and I did this and I'm sure you've been in those work environments where there's always those people that are trying to take credit for everything, and those
Yeah.
bosses that will like take credit for everything their team does. I hate that shit. It's like their team like works their ass off, does overtime, like they're going home early and shit like that, and they're getting all the praise. And it's like me when I'm in a leadership position, I'm like, oh, no, I managed it. I made sure that it ran smoothly, but these are the people that did the work. My
Yeah.
team. They're the ones that put in the fucking work. I just made sure that they had the resources they needed. I made sure that, all the little, fires that needed to be put out got put out. I shielded them from the bullshit that comes from up higher. That's your job as a manager, is to protect your people so that they have the peace, and they have the resources they need to get the job done. If you build a good team, that's all you need to do. Is just be like, leave my motherfuckers alone. They're busy. It's like, let them do their shit, and you'll get what you want. That's always the philosophy I had.
And as an employee, it makes you respect your boss even more, and like, damn, I want to work harder for this guy because he's willing
he has
to
my back. I have his back.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Lessons, people, lessons.
You know what? I wish. I mean, I've always been pretty good at it, but I wish I would have learned a couple of the very difficult life lessons I learned earlier in life. It's pretty much. I've learned two things: match people's energy, and weed out the people with lack of integrity. Those are the two things. Like, whatever type of relationship it is, if it's business, if it's personal, if it's your significant other, if they're not matching the same energy that you're putting out, don't just keep dumping energy into them. Everybody has their off days and stuff like that, but if it's a pattern, if you can tell if somebody isn't invested in the relationship, whatever it is, they're not going to be passionate. They're not going to be have that go get it attitude. Again, no matter what type of relationship it is. So I've learned to spot bullshit really quick. People that are just putting on a mask or a facade. And it makes it easy to spot a lot of the influencers and stuff on in crypto and stuff too. I was able to weed through a lot of the bad ones and able to find people like Drew over at Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto. Drew has integrity. He walks a thin line sometimes, in my opinion, but he is 100% one of the most solid dudes in crypto that I've met. Besides you and David, Drew is good people. But yeah, it just they're running a business. I mean, they have a lot of overhead, so they have to have sponsors and stuff like that. And I get it, but yeah, it's just I don't know. It's such a weird ecosystem that we're in. Just and just in my couple of years, my 4 or 5 years in crypto, I guess over 5 years now. Just the way it's evolved. Like, I mean, like, how long have you been in crypto again?
Since fully back in since 2020, mid 2020.
Okay,
but
so
I
you definitely been in
like
me.
Yeah, I started dipping my toes in like 2016, 2017, and then took a few years off. But then dove back in 2020. But yeah, it's definitely changed a lot.
Yeah. No,
and David's been in since 2012, so
yeah. No, it's like I said, I got in I got Shiba Inu when like right before Shiba Inu pumped. I've told this story, but right before Shiba Inu pumped, I saw it on a TikTok, and I'm like, my buddy told me about crypto forever ago, and I wished I would have gotten in. Why not? And I put $100 into it, and it fucking started ripping. And so I put another $100. I did all the beginner mistakes. I put another $100 in. I was buying into the pump. and instead of taking profits. And then finally, I was actually pretty smart. I was like, it can't go on like this forever. This is ridiculous. Because I'd put like, I don't know, like $500 in or $1,000 in or something like that, and I was up like a lot. I mean, I think I had like 20 or 30 grand or something like that. And if memory serves, it's been a minute. Don't quote me on that. But it was a lot because I bought before it pumped it all. Like my initial entry was before it did anything. But I went to go sell it, and Coinbase, you probably remember, Coinbase was like fucking done. Like you could not access Coinbase. You couldn't do shit. And I was trying to sell it, and it wouldn't. I couldn't. And by the time it came back up, it had already started dipping down the other side. And I sold, and I made a little bit of money, but nothing like I would have. But that was my first experience in crypto. So,
yeah, that's well, and not long after I got back in, I I put like $500 in when SafeMoon first launched because somebody told me about it, and I was like, oh, whatever. So and it ended up going up to like $7,000, and I didn't take profit.
No,
it came back down, and I ended up like breaking even, but I was like, fuck, man. I was up 500.
Yeah, it's like we all fucking, we all, dude, I'm telling you, the most valuable lessons I've ever learned have been the most painful.
Yeah.
It really is. It's kind of the irony of life is, it's almost like that's what we're here for, is to struggle and freaking like on the Matrix they talk about it, where they made like this perfect utopia. The first program they did, the first Matrix they did, they did it to where everybody had everything they wanted and everything was perfect. And he said that everybody was just like dying, that that basically the humans couldn't handle it, and so they made the Matrix like the world that we have around us, where people struggle and go through pain and things like that. And then I guess like their harvest was better. And it's true about plants. A lot of plants, if you stress them, that's like when you're trimming like pot plants, and when you prune fruit trees and things like that, that's what you're doing, is you're stressing the plant, and that makes it more fruitful. That will make it make more fruit. So I can see why like a lot of like ancient texts, like scriptures and stuff like that, talk about struggle and pain and things like that being necessary for growth and spirituality. And I mean, there's even some religions where they like freaking flog themselves and smack themselves and shit because it's not called flatulence, that's farting, but it's whatever. It's similar to that, to where they're like whipping themselves and stuff. There's what was that? Not Angels and Demons, but what was that book with Tom Cruise, the conspiracy theory one with the Catholic Church?
Wait, Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks.
Da Vinci Code, right?
Yeah, Da Vinci Code. There was that monk, that albino monk, that was like freaking wore like that thing around his thigh that like dug into his thigh.
Oh,
remember that? He was fucking wrenching that thing, and because basically they believe they should feel the pain that Christ felt for like the sins or something like that.
Yeah, as that reminder.
Yeah. No, what David said, that's what we always said in the military, was embrace the suck. It's like whenever you're in a miserable situation, you just turn and laugh at each other and just say, hey, embrace the suck, because there ain't shit you can do about it. Whining about it, you're still there, you're still dealing with it. Now you're just fucking having to listen to everybody whine about it. So you might as well laugh, you might as well have a good time. Fuck it.
Yeah, and that's how you built Sack Nasty.
So of course Sack Nasty would know about some weird shit like that. That twisted son of a bitch.
Yeah, because nothing says I love God more than beating myself every day. Well, and the thing with, how do you build muscle? You go into the gym or you lift heavy shit, and it stresses the muscles.
Gain. Yeah,
it breaks the muscles down, just not too much, and then recovery builds it back up. So you stress a little bit, and then
you break a bone. A healed bone is stronger than the bone was before it got broke.
Yeah, because that callus over the break.
Well, I mean, and it grows back different. There's more surface area that is holding it together. So yeah, it's I don't know. Like I said, I'm definitely not the wisest person on the planet, but I definitely learned some key lessons that have made my life a lot easier and a lot less stressful. And the only times that and I'm always pushing my limits. I mean, you always got to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but it's really nice to be able to pick and choose. What pain, and what lesson you want to learn. If it's a physical one from working out, if you want to take a chance on a financial venture, try to start a business or invest in something risky, or because there's all kinds of different pain, not just physical and mental. I mean, there's financial, there's a lot of stuff. But learning how to work on a vehicle, you're going to rack your knuckles a bunch, when you're trying to break bolts and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of
elbow,
that's where a lot of the scars my hands are from, is working on engines.
Yep.
You'd think it would be for being in the military, but to be honest, the majority of them are for cracking knuckles on engine blocks and shit. Trying to break a bolt loose on a head, or on a freaking pulley, like on a freaking power steering pulley or a water pump. Trying to break an old fucking.
Yeah, if you ratchet, you don't have that extension, man, and you're
dude, yeah, and it just you're just
like
cranking on it, and it just all of a sudden gives way, and like all your body weight just drops your knuckles onto like a freaking part of the freaking frame, or part of the freaking and it's all metal. So basically, you just full on dive your fist into some metal.
You just covered in blood, dude.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how many, and it doesn't bleed because you got like old fucking grease and dirt all packed in it.
Yeah. You used to see my dad's hands after being a mechanic for 30-something years. I mean, dude, his hands are fat, dude.
Well, I'm sure they are, dude. I mean, those things. I'll bet you they're like fucking meat hooks too. Like, I bet you could. I bet you could like rip the top off a beer can like a coal miner that isn't even open. I'll bet you he could rip the top off a beer can that's not even open, dude.
His grip is ridiculous, man.
Well, can you imagine like a coal miner or like an auto mechanic? That have been. I mean, I'll bet you like his forearms are just fucking massive too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I never wanted to fight him growing up. Like,
no. Well, dude, like my brother Robert Taylor's full brother, my half brother, that guy is a brick, dude. Like, he's been churning wrenches. Like, it's been his occupation his whole life. He started out working on cars and stuff, and then I enlisted him into the army, and he became a helicopter mechanic. And so now he's wrenching on like Blackhawks and Apaches and things like that. And but anyway, he has forearms that are probably as big as my calves, maybe probably even bigger than my calves. Like, I mean, he just has massive forearms. He looks like a dwarf. Just that stocky. He just, and yeah, it's freaking crazy. But dude, yeah, people that churn wrenches, like electricians, people that do this all day, they tend to have these massive fucking forearms.
Yeah. Over time, little by little, man, a little becomes a lot. And you spend years doing that, it compounds.
Absolutely. Well, shit. What else you got?
DCA.
What's that?
DCA. A little bit of DCA every week. Dollar cost average.
Absolutely.
Into Bitcoin over the course of 10 years.
Like I said, that's what I'm doing. Is like I said, I got my little fund of Bitcoin. I got more than that, but I just got that little fund of Bitcoin building up in my account from paying my bills, buying my groceries, buying my gas. I'm just finding every single way possible that I can get my hands on good quality crypto, because something's got to give at some point. It's if there's good tokenomics and it's a good project that's getting adopted and built on, and the tokenomics are such that the token benefits from the success, the fees, and the revenue generated, it's got to be just a matter of time, dude. In my opinion, I mean that's where I'm putting my money. Like Canton. Oh shit, my drunk ass never got to fucking the Canton news, dude.
Oh yeah. What's the
All
Canton?
right, all right. So, let's see. Here we go. The DTCC. So the DTCC, those that don't know, it's the clearinghouse for the New York Stock Exchange. And they are tokenizing the New York Stock Exchange. And the Canton Network is the institutional grade, privacy first L1 blockchain ecosystem where much of the tokenization work is actively occurring. All right. So, let me see if I can filter out the bullshit and just give you the meat and potatoes here. So Canton was built by Digital Assets. We've had one of the co-founders on multiple times, Shaw. Great interviews, by the way, if you want to check them out. A firm specializing in enterprise DLT and the creators of the DAML smart contract language. So the DTCC has been doing a pilot with Canton Network. So like they're the ones, they've tokenized like some of the top stocks just to basically test out, as a test bed. And they announced today that the end of this year that they're doing a full rollout. So basically, if I'm understanding this right, the entire New York Stock Exchange is going to be tokenized on the Canton Network. What that means for Canton, a lot of that's still to be determined. Again, on this channel, we like to be realistic. I hope to shit that means that all of the fucking liquidity that moves on the New York Stock Exchange, if they're trading the tokenized version of it, that is going to burn fees on Canton, because the tokenomics, the way that they work, is that the higher the network usage, the more tokens that are burned. And the more tokens that are burned, the less that are of the newly minted tokens that go out into circulation. Because once it gets to a point to where the burn outpaces the mint, then it's deflationary. So as long as the network usage stays up past that equilibrium point, that level 0, then there's less and less tokens on the market. And if you need tokens to use the network, and they're going to need them, because if the New York Stock Exchange is running on Canton Network, they have to use Canton tokens. So it's, it's the less tokens, the price goes up. Not a guarantee. This is just the way the tokenomics are built. And if history plays out, and if the network, keeps that level of usage to where it's, the burns outpacing the mint. So these are the things that we need to take into account. But later this year, it says in May 2026, they announced 50 plus firm industry working group convened to validate the launch of its DTC tokenization service. So it would be 1,000 equity, Russell 1000 equities, ETFs, and U.S. Treasuries, alongside BlackRock and Bank of America, several other crypto native projects and institutional infrastructure firms are listed as core participants. So credit to Ripple, again, not bullish for XRP because of the tokenomics. Ondo, I read earlier today, is yet to be verified. I said it earlier in the show. Supposedly, there's going to be a vote later this year where the governing body is going to vote if Ondo's governance token is going to become more of a utility token, which would be bullish for Ondo because Ondo is part of this DTCC project. But I sold my Ondo because of the tokenomics. Now, if I hear that there is genuinely going to be a vote later this year on it potentially becoming more of a utility token, I could buy back in. We'll see what the price is doing at the time. Anchorage Digital, BitGo, Circle USDC. So very bullish for Canton. And of course, Chainlink is working with Canton and with this project, and Chainlink's being used by everything. I mean, freaking yeah. Some of my biggest bags are Chainlink and Canton. I'll put it that way.
I think Kelp DAO is moving to Chainlink now after the whole layer 0 exploit too.
Absolutely, you are correct.
Yeah.
Well, shit. What are your closing thoughts, man?
Oh, give your mom a call. Tell her you love her since it's Mother's Day weekend. If you don't get to see her, try and call her. She's not around. Find somebody's mom to send some love to, send some flowers to. Maybe Stifler's mom. You can.
Sack Nasty's stepmom. You can show your appreciation for Sack Nasty's stepmom. At last I heard, she was stuck in a dryer.
Hey, you might want to go help her get out of there. Maybe in time for dinner.
I've been seeing on the internet. It seems to be the thing to do.
Yep. Oh man.
Suppose I for some reason I don't know if I believe him.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll send love your way. Yeah, Mother's Day Sunday. So I know I'll have to FaceTime my mom this weekend and send her some flowers. Something. My siblings always get like a group. I don't know. We pitch in for something. My sisters usually spearhead that, so I'll just send them some money. But
all right. Well, shit. I guess we'll call it quits. I think I'm gonna go make myself some dinner and get to work. I gotta find a property, or freaking I need to decide where we're gonna build on this one. So yeah, my weekend, I'm pretty much this weekend. I'm gonna be finishing up, getting ready for you and David to show up. It's I don't think Ellie's showing up, and I haven't heard from Jay, so I don't know if he's showing up. I hope they do, but no, I mean we're gonna have fun either way. But yeah, I'm building a chandelier this weekend. I need to do some mowing, so everything looks tip top while you guys are here. And what else I gotta do? I gotta do some shopping. So yeah, no, I got some stuff to do this weekend. Oh, I got to finish getting the bed set up and stuff like that in the Airstream too.
Oh yeah,
and get a heater and a table out there, and get the Airstream positioned and plugged in, so you got lights and everything.
Shit, yeah, let's build a studio.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, trim that bush.
Well, you always got to trim the bushes around the deck. It makes the deck look big. It's important. So, all right, man. I'll talk to you all later. I hope you all have a great weekend. If you feel like it, join Jeff tomorrow for Saturday Night Fever at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and join me for Sovereign Soil right before that. Don't know what the topic's going to be, but it's going to be something to do with emergency prep or homesteading. Actually, you know what? Yeah. Maybe I'll share my little journey so far trying to find another property. But anyway,
yeah.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in.
Love.
Shout out to all of you over on the arena. Thank you much. We love you. Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.